me to have people in this space, online and in person, who are anchors, who've been through this process for a long time. My husband's coming up to say hello to you, and probably because there's a tech issue. Are we good? Woo! Look at me go. Okay. I'm always nervous until he leaves, and it sounds really bad because I know when he's still standing there, there's potentially still a problem. So as soon as my husband leaves the room, I'm like, we're done, we're good. Woo! Hi, everybody. Okay. So we are doing full moon ritual tonight. I was just telling the group in the room that in meditation this morning, actually preparing for tonight, I came up with what we're doing in December, which will be the closing ceremony of our 2 years of Gods and Goddesses. Next year, we're doing something different. And it might be really big, huge different, and it might be slightly different. And so I don't want to say what it is yet because we're still deciding how big, huge, different it will be. But it's going to be fun. So there still will be monthly live full moon ritual. It just may start traveling a little bit. We don't know yet, so stay tuned. But what that means is enjoy this year because it's going to be a little different, working with these particular energies. So I want to welcome you. I'm not trying to be a tease. I just don't want, when we finally announce it, I want it to be like completely sure what we're doing. And especially if we're going to be traveling, we want to make those plans pretty far in advance. I know! Wouldn't it be fun? Okay, so I'm going to turn this a little bit more. It is 3,000 degrees in the room that we are sitting in today. So great. Too bad it's not next month with Pele and Maui. That would be more appropriate weather conditions for them, perhaps. But we are working with the Hawaiian Pantheon next month. So if you didn't see the kit yet, and you get a whole free kit. We did this a while back with Sarasvati. Remember that when we did Lakshmi and Ganesha? So it's the same thing. So if you get Pele and Maui, you also get Hina, who is Maui's mother, who is the moon goddess in the Hawaiian tradition. And Hina is the only goddess who rules both the new and full moon phases. So the Hina, when you get that Hina kit, that should become your new moon kit and your full moon kit. And here's the thing. She is a goddess of manifestation. She birthed Maui, who literally pulled the Hawaiian Islands up from the Pacific Ocean with his fishing spear, with his hands. And so what Maui represents is the ability to manifest and overcome what seem like impossible obstacles. So if you're trying to pull up islands with your bare hands in your life, does it ever feel like you're doing that? You know what I mean? It's like, and then at the end of the day, you're like, I'll try again tomorrow. I only pulled up one island today. Let me see what I can do. It's a little bit of a Wonder Man duo next month. But for extreme manifestation, overcoming almost impossible odds, working with both the new and full moon phases, that's what these energies represent. So I'm very excited for next month, honestly. I've been waiting. And people have been asking me to work with Pele for a long time. I have a lot of reverence for Pele. It's sort of like working with Kali. One doesn't do that unbuckled. If you're going to get in that car, you need to be buckled up. So I wanted to make sure that, A, it was the appropriate season. High summer is the right time to work with Pele and Maui, so the timing had to be right. Interestingly enough, I did not plan tonight on the basis of what day the full moon is. But it's Sunday. We haven't had very many Sunday full moons, right? I mean, I'm a reader of signs, right? Like, that's what I do for a living, so as are most of you. Okay, so let's talk briefly about full moon in Capricorn, and then we'll launch right into our meditation. It is fate, and it's beautiful. So, full moon in Capricorn. The moon is what kind of planet? What element governs the moon? Water. Water and earth can survive together. What does Capricorn represent? What is the truest heart's desire for a Capricorn? Success. Tell me more about that. What are Capricorns willing to do to succeed? There are very few things Capricorns enjoy more than working. They're not like Virgos. Capricorns are different than any Capricorns in the room, sun, moon, or rising? Okay, so, and we could not survive without you. By the way, Havav Rappaport is sitting in the corner. That man right there is going to be embarrassed for me to tell you this, but he's the one who makes those gemstone lamps. You guys have seen those, right? That's him. Mwah. I just like to tell you when there's people in the room that you should probably know about. And he's a little bit of a celebrity in my world, so he's right here right now. And he's a Capricorn. I didn't know that. Okay, So they're not like Virgos where they like to work just to work. Virgo's just happy to work. Whistle while you work. I don't know anything about that. No. If I wasn't here, I might be somewhere laying down, or I don't know, walking around outside, or I don't know. But I would not be working. And so, so Virgos like to work just for the pure service. Virgos are here to be of service to the planet, and they love to work for you, in whatever capacity that means. Capricorns love to work too, but not unless they're going to the top of a mountain, and they're going to be the best, and they are going to prove it, and they will prove it over and over and over and over again. Almost all Capricorns know exactly what they want to be by about the age of 5. And they pretty much are on that course for the rest of their life. You should listen. If you have Capricorn children and they're telling you what they want to do when they grow up, listen very carefully to what they're telling you, because they're partly, first of all, Capricorn children are never young. I mean, it's kind of a hard life. They're never young. They're already worried when they come in. And then when they figure out what they want to do at around the ripe old age of 3 or 4 years old, now they're stressed. How am I going to get there? They'll ask you things like about college admission, and you're thinking like, be 5 for a minute. You know what I mean? Like, have a lollipop or a popsicle and sit down and play with a toy. No, because they're, okay. Dot says she doesn't want to work. It's true. Lots of scientists are Capricorns. Kelly's saying, I'm not surprised. So here's the thing. What does a full moon do? It shines the brightest of lights, right, on the energy that's available. And the energy that is available right now is around achievement. But the shadow side of all of that is, because here's what Capricorn tells itself every day, you're not working hard enough. You could be doing more. You could be doing better. There's another hill to climb. What if that person climbs it before you do? And so Capricorns actually need fire influence and air influence to create space and inspiration, because they mire themselves down, and then they get excited when a fire sign comes along and goes, let's do this thing, right? But then they get frustrated because they're the ones who are going to have to finish it. Okay? So they're like all excited about it until and I'm not trying to rehash my whole astrology series. You can find that on YouTube. I did a whole year of free astrology classes last year, and you can do a whole hour on every sign. So if you want more of this, you can go and find that. But I'm telling you this because whatever sign you are, you're going to feel that energy. Like, I pretty much worked this whole weekend, but happily. I mean, I'm just sharing the energy with you, right? I was like, I kept noticing, gosh, I'm working, but it doesn't feel like work. And so Capricorn has a way of making work not feel like work. They have this way. And so technically you're working, but you're doing something to serve humanity. You're technically working, but you're doing something to better the planet, because there is an altruistic streak in Capricorns. They don't want to leave the planet the way they found it. This is true of all Capricorns. And they feel this unique responsibility to singularly improve the nature and the quality of our planet before they die. So it's almost like they're in this rush, and they're not really competing with anybody but themselves. Especially Capricorns who are artists, and imagine, like, the struggle's different, right? Because how does an artist know when they've been successful? I mean, how do they know? What's the mark of success for an artist? Because it's not money. Being remembered, right? I mean, creating a legacy. You want your art to outlive you, I assume. I'm not an artist in the traditional sense, but I do think about legacy and impact. And I do think that each of us should try to leave something on the planet that has our thumbprint on it, so that when we leave, people knew you were here. And that sounds kind of crass to say that maybe, but things do get forgotten. So I'm always encouraging people. Children are a way to do that, but children aren't the only way to do that. There's lots of ways to leave your fingerprint on this planet, and it can be, enhancing the health of natural preserves and land around you. It can be supporting, different causes that support water and nature and land conservation. There's lots of ways to make an impact on the planet. Capricorns are just uniquely suited to figure out what that is. So if you ever feel like you're not making an impact, find a local Capricorn, ask them what you can do to make a bit broader impact, and then they will give you all kinds of suggestions about that. And then they'll ask you why you're not working on it hard enough, and are you going to expect them to do it for you? Not funny? Okay. So that's all of that. So tonight, I'm actually we've been kind of lighthearted, but I'm gonna turn the energetic dial just for a second. Tonight's about compassion and mercy and forgiveness. Okay? I'm gonna spend 5 or 10 minutes talking about what the Christian Pantheon means to me, trying to sum up a life of appreciation for what we're talking about tonight. And I don't want you to think so much about what I'm sharing with you. I want you to go within and think about your own experience. And I'm going to ask you tonight to work with a couple of things. One is, where do you need to grow or expand or improve in your life when it comes to compassion and mercy and forgiveness? And before you start thinking about other people, I want you to think about you. There's a beautiful Buddhist saying, because you know me, I'm all over the gamut, right? The beautiful Buddhist saying that says, if your compassion does not include you, it is incomplete. So beautiful, right? Because it's so easy to say, oh, I feel for, women in crisis, and I feel for our planet, and I have compassion for, but then you'll turn around and have all this negative self-talk with yourself. You're not good enough. You're not attractive enough. You're not smart enough. You're not working hard enough. You're not producing enough. You're not happy enough. You're not serious enough. You're not, I don't know what you're not enough of. You can fill in the blanks for that. You don't even need me. We're all our own worst critics. So the first thing I want you to think about tonight is, where in your life are you missing compassion, forgiveness, and mercy for yourself? And my guess is it's probably not something that happened today. I want you to go a little deeper than that. How many of you can point to a time in your life when you did something or something happened to you and you felt personally responsible for it and you have not forgiven yourself yet for that event, for that? Okay. Maybe you could have done something differently or better. Maybe you feel like you could have changed the outcome. Maybe you feel responsible for what happened or transpired. Maybe you were responsible. I mean, in serious cases, I have in my role, you can only imagine probably what I hear on a daily basis. And I keep complete confidence when people share anything with me. And I keep saying it's partly because I'm getting older too, and I can't remember anything. Your secrets are so safe with me because I'll, not just because I want to keep them, but because I can't remember at all. Menopause is a way of doing that to people. It's terrible. Maybe it's not that, but I do hear from people all the time where very serious things have happened, in some cases things that they are physically, materially responsible for. And how do you live with that? Okay? There was someone I know had a situation just 2 weeks ago where a little girl in middle school was being teased and bullied, and she committed suicide. She was 12. And I had been bullied in junior high school. And so it was a huge trigger for me just to hear. I mean, all of a sudden, I felt my soul sort of leave my body for a moment because I thought, how fine was the line that kept me? Maybe it was I wasn't in a place where I really would have done something like that in my life, but bullying can have dramatic impact, right? So, but I want you to think about the fact that, you know where my mind went first when I heard that? The little girls who had Snapchatted that day. Because I have compassion for them. Is that a strange thing? That was one of the first places my heart went. It went first to the daughter, the girl who committed suicide. It went second to her parents and her family. It went third to the children who Snapchatted that morning. Does that make sense? And that's the kind of leap that I'm asking you to make, because a lot of people would say, well, you should, who are you feeling sorry for? And who's, and it's like, this is a classroom that we're in together, and we make lots of mistakes. I've made lots of mistakes. I bet you have too. I would hope that we can find compassion for everyone on our planet right now, even if you would judge them and say they did something horribly wrong. I think there's space for all of that. And I mentioned that to you tonight too, because guess what? When I am able to really commit myself to a cause, a singular cause, we do a lot of philanthropy here at Sage Goddess, and we try to support a lot of different causes. When I can devote my time singularly to something in a public way, most likely it's going to be something around children and bullying, especially cyberbullying. I cannot believe the consequences and the implications of that. So we have to look around our entire planet right now and say, where is compassion needed most? So I want you to think first tonight is, where do you need it? Is it around your family? Is it around something happening at work? Is it around your health? Maybe you've been hard on yourself because your health isn't good and you don't see yourself as supporting it. You know what I mean? But again, that's compassion is needed. Kindness, you're human, right? Every day I say to myself, I'm human. I wish I wasn't sometimes. But I'm human and I'm going to make mistakes because I have feelings and I have an ego and I have all these things that we came fully baked with. You didn't choose to have an ego, but you do, and you're human. You're going to activate your ego at times, and it might force you to make choices or lead you to make choices that you regret later. You're going to have to be able to forgive yourself. So that's a reality. Then I want you to think outside of that. Who in your life really needs compassion from you right now? And that can look like a lot of things. A kind word, a gentle action, a different response, an embrace, the gift of time with you. Who really needs that compassion from you right now? And if you don't know, then tonight I want you to be open to receiving the guidance about who that is. Do you know what I mean? Does everybody feel like you have at least one place in your life where you could be more compassionate to yourself? Can you give me anybody struggling with that? Okay. So think about it in different ways. Where could you, here's another way of looking at it, where could you mother yourself better? I often think of that, especially because, in certain parts of my life I didn't have what I was looking for. And even now I struggle a little bit to mother myself, right? It sounds funny maybe, but you always need a mother. A mother can look like a lot of different things to you. Sometimes my friends mother me, sometimes I mother them. We take these turns, right? And I'm very lucky because a lot of my closest friends are ahead of me in age, and I don't think that's accidental. I sought them out in many ways because I love the wisdom of older women. And now I'm becoming that for younger women, which is really cool because I also appreciate now that I can offer something that I've been gifted for the past couple of decades. And then ask yourself that question: if you're struggling with compassion, how could you be a better mother to you? Like if you were the little girl, if you were the little boy, because guess what? Men mother. And you carry that divine feminine within you, men. So you are able to mother as well as I am able to mother. Does that help a little bit? How could you parent you? Where's the sweetness, And what is the child you need? Do you just need a kind word? Do you need someone to say, take a day off? You know what I mean? Get some rest. Let's cook a meal for ourselves. What is it? And it can be so tiny of a thing. I'm just planting all these seeds because I want you to be able to come up with this in the moment. And in a feed I'm seeing, it's beautiful, Pamela LaBeouf says, my magical mother. Encourage myself, hold myself, more personal care, time with myself, working with my lower chakras. Interestingly, Shannon says, my mother was more of a mother to me energetically. Isn't that interesting? Oh, how. And today is my father's birthday, by the way. My sweet Cancer dad, the most amazing man I've ever known in my life. And he mothered me well. My mother mothered me well, too. But I would say they both did. My dad's a Cancer, though, so they naturally come in with that desire to love and to mother and to nurture. Aren't you a Cancer, too? Oh, that's right. Close enough. It's true. I knew you had that watery, loving mother magic in you somewhere. I didn't know what sign it was. So that's the question to ask. And when we come into that place tonight, I really want you to think about how to connect with these two energies. So I was raised born-again Christian. I wouldn't necessarily call myself that now, but I will tell you that my belief in Jesus, both as a teacher and as an energetic figure, is strong. And it has guided my path for my whole life. My grandmother was a minister, and when I was growing up, she always taught me about Jesus and about the power of the spoken word by Jesus and the disciples in the Bible. Now, I will never proselytize to you. I always joke, if you feel like I'm proselytizing to you, someone has come and taken over my body, and you should call authorities because I'm missing, and you know that I'm gone. So what I always tell people is, I don't need you to believe in anything, actually. What I need you to do is figure out what's true for you. So what's true for me is I believe that Jesus is real. I have had a lived experience of the reality of Jesus in my physical life, both a physical manifestation and an energetic manifestation that changed my life. It also shaped my spiritual path to the extent that I never fully moved into the pagan path because it didn't acknowledge Jesus and I couldn't figure out how to reconcile that. It's that powerful for me. Okay? I'm not saying it has to be for you, but it is that powerful for me. So when people try to put me in a box, what I always say is, please don't do that. Right? And here's the number one thing I want you to think about before we move into tonight's meditation. If there's only one thing I ever teach you, hopefully it's this. The biggest mistake you can make as a spiritual person is to assume that you understand the nature of someone else's relationship to their creator. I will say that again. Probably the only egregious mistake you can make, kind of undoable, okay, is that you would assume that you understand the nature of anyone else's relationship with their creator. First of all, people probably will never tell you the whole story of their relationship with their creator, and they're not obligated to tell you. And it is also not your place to judge that or to make any assumptions about that. I will tell you, not only is it the wrong thing to do, it has karmic consequences for you. So please, Don't ever make assumptions about me or anyone else, about what I believe or what anyone else around you believes, because it's not fair. It's not fair to me and it's not fair to you. So I come to you tonight, I'm sharing a little bit about my path with you so that you understand how important tonight is to me, but also because even if you don't align, do you know what I mean? So my husband is Jewish. To him, Jesus was a very significant Jew, okay? And some people consider him a fallen Messiah or an unsuccessful Messiah, whatever you think. We could go all night tonight on the Bible and what happened and who believes this and who believes that. And by the way, there are other stories in ancient history. Go back to Sumeria about someone being sacrificed or martyred and then rising from the dead. The Jesus narrative is not the only narrative of that. You guys know that, right? So it complicates everything, doesn't it? People say, well, Jesus wasn't the only one who rose from the dead. Let's activate some basic assumptions and connections for tonight's ritual. Okay, because I don't expect, nor would I even really want for everybody in the room to believe or feel the exact same thing. What I think you should connect to is, what does Jesus represent as a teacher? What energy stream can we connect to through him as a figure? Disconnect from everything that you know and have been taught for a moment. What does Mary represent as a teacher? Just by her example and what she has offered in terms of the narrative that we work with when we work with Mary. To me, it's compassion, as I said, mercy, and forgiveness. Okay? Even if we don't talk about rebirth or ascension or any of those other things. Compassion, mercy, forgiveness. The ability to forgive what is unforgivable. Does that make sense? Do you guys have any questions before we start? Did I give enough of a sort of a baseline for you guys to understand like where I'm coming from and why tonight is so significant, at least for me, and I think for a lot of you too? Okay, you ready? Okay. So I want you to roll your shoulders back, call your energy into present time. It's Sunday. It is the holiest day of the week. It is a day when you are meant to rest. And that is not just one tradition that tells you that. It is many. So I want you to take a moment to receive kind of that softer, subtler vibration. Tonight, as in all nights, we are stepping into ancient history. We are stepping into a lineage and a narrative and a dialogue that didn't begin with us and won't end with us. And you know what's really interesting for me, being 30 years into my practice now? 30 years. Thank you. It feels good. It feels old. I like it, though. The only thing I know for sure, 30 years later is, I think all the paths are true. Bless you. I don't have any proof that any of them are not true. And so when people say, well, you know, how do you work with all these deities and all these traditions? And these are all our traditions. Your soul is very old. You've been many places. You've lived many lives. So even if you don't connect with any of the archetypes we talk about this year in this lifetime, I bet you somewhere in your soul there's a familiarity to you. Because these conversations didn't start in 2017. And when you were here 300 years ago, 500 years ago, 800 years ago, these conversations were still happening. You might be tired of them by now. They're still happening. And when you come back, if you come back, I would say I hope you do, and I also hope that you don't. When you don't, it means you graduated, yeah? When you come back, if you come back, I hope that the conversation continues to evolve and inspire you, and that more answers come over time. Yeah? It's all true, guys. And I'm telling you that as someone who's crossed dimensions to do a lot of sacred journey work in this lifetime. I have not only felt, I have seen. And so I'd love you to give me that piece of faith to tell you it's all true. And there's a way that it's all true. And we'll see it when we cross, when we take that last breath. Will we remember to say, I wish I could go back? I have a sense of that moment, don't you sometimes? That first big, and you go, I want to go back and tell them it's all true. Although, you know what? We're probably just so stoked I'm sure we're not thinking that. I'm sure we're thinking like, and all the thoughts of wanting to go back and tell them it's all true are gone. Probably, right? Okay. So we have smudged. I have opened the container. I'd love you to put your hands on your knees with your palms facing up. Keep those hands nice and open. Receptive position for our work tonight. And I want you to imagine that out of your left hand extends a beautiful beam of white light around 4 to 6 inches in diameter. Let it completely fill your hand. You might give it a texture, a temperature to really sense and feel that energy. That beam of energy is going to leave your left hand, go clockwise around the circle, and return to you in your right hand. And we have so many people joining us from all over the world tonight that it's a heavy beam of light that you're holding, but when it comes back to you in your right hand should feel warm. And that's how you'll know that you're holding the energy in both hands. And then just keep your eyes closed while I read tonight's invocation to you. Did you guys get it online? I put it in all the groups for you. So if you have it and you want to read along, you're welcome to. If you just want to listen to me, you're welcome to do that too. And then you're welcome to use that in any of your rituals as you desire. Sun and light prevail here in the north, and tonight we gather by full moon glow, as our ancestors have for thousands of years, to honor the light and to summon energies of creation and manifestation together. All hail the sun god as he unites to create life with his goddess. Now, as the days grow longer, to hail their embrace. We honor within ourselves all that has been conceived and all that grows within. Pregnant with possibility, we celebrate our becoming tonight. Saturn's lessons are amplified by tonight's full moon in Capricorn, asking this difficult question of us. Are you working diligently enough to bring compassion and mercy forward in your life? And are you a living example of your values? We begin our invocation in the south tonight, since we are here in high summer, and call upon the compassionate helping spirits of the south, lion, fox, coyote, jaguar, and snake, to help us deepen our experience of compassion and mercy. Mary, your courage and your compassion helped you to say yes when you were asked to carry the Christ child. And Jesus, your courage and compassion remind us that no matter how lost we may feel, we always have a path home in you to peace and love. Guardians of the South, thank you for bringing us to Jesus and Mary's sacred sanctuary and offering us communion with them this evening. We are here, you are here, and together we turn to and bow to the South and honor our brothers and sisters of the fire realm, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries. Next, we move west around the wheel and call upon the compassionate helping spirits of the west, crow, whale, squid, dolphin, all of our watery spirit animals, to help us deepen our experience of compassion and mercy. Mary, your heart overflowing with love and connection to deep emotion, you serve as a guiding light for those of us who need to feel and love more deeply. Jesus, your ability to work powerfully with the water element made miracles manifest for all to see. Guardians of the West, thank you for bringing us to Jesus and Mary's sacred sanctuary and offering us communion with them this evening. We are here, you are here, and together we turn and bow to the West. We honor our brothers and sisters of the water realm, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Now we move north around the wheel and we call upon the strong and compassionate helping spirits of the north, elk, black bear, buffalo, and deer, to help us feel safe, guided, and grounded as we move compassionately in the world. Mary and Jesus, wise teachers, we work with you primarily here in the northern quadrant and honor the wisdom of your teachings. Guardians of the North, thank you for bringing us to Jesus and Mary's sacred sanctuary and offering us communion with them tonight. We are here, you are here, and together we turn and bow to the north and honor our brothers and sisters of the earth realm, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. Finally, we move east around the wheel and we call upon the inspiring and compassionate helping spirits of the east, condor, eagle, hummingbird, to help us become inspired by the new beginnings available to us tonight. Mary and Jesus, ascension energies, you embody and remind us that we are here on earth, and so are you in the upper realms, watching over us and renewing our faith. Guardians of the East, thank you for bringing us to Jesus and Mary's sacred sanctuary tonight and offering us communion with them. We are here, you are here, and together we turn and bow to the East and honor our brothers and sisters of the air realm, Libra, Aquarius, Gemini. My wish for you tonight, all of you in the room and online, as it always is that the precious and delicate balance of these four elements will make itself known to you. And together we say, Amen, aho, so it is. So it is. So beautiful, isn't it? That's wonderful. Even the little feed, there's lots of flowers and hearts. There's a sweetness to tonight, and I think for a lot of us, returning to these early paths and early traditions brings us back to a time of sweetness, and maybe a time of peace, and maybe a time when we weren't questioning so much. It's like I don't have the scripture at the tip of my tongue, but I still recite it anyway, because even though I don't know it very well, maybe one of you knows it well and can cite it for me. But it's about the peace that only Jesus can offer, a peace that transcends all physical and emotional peace. There is a peace beyond. And that's one of the things I call upon his energy stream for, is that peace. And it's not a worldly peace. It's not a 5-minute peace when you go, oh, I feel so peaceful, and then 5 minutes later you're screaming at somebody, right? It's like a real peace where you think, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So I want you to close your shoulders again, roll your shoulders back, and so you can take a nice deep inhale. I want you to choose which stones you're going to work with tonight. For Jesus, we have bloodstone and amethyst. Bloodstone is actually tied to Jesus Christ, and some of our ancestors' early narratives about bloodstone, they really did believe that there's 2 stones tied to Jesus Christ in the early narrative. One is starlight. It's said that when Jesus was crucified, that the fairies fled into the forest and grieved his death. And that their tears, the fairies' tears, are actually the crosses on starlight. The same story runs with chastulite. I have a little tiny, you wouldn't even be able to see if I had it on, it's so tiny, a little tiny starlight ring with a little cross on it, but whenever I wear that ring, I have that same feeling of peace. It's like, even though it's about grieving, there's something very tender about that. Bloodstone was believed to be drops from the crucifixion that actually made their way into the earth and were captured as a reminder of how deep sin can run and how deep forgiveness also runs. So this is a stone that has a natural connection. And then with Mary, we have beautiful blue lace agate and angelite, because I felt like her energy was so angelic. The Jesus and Mary perfumes I hope you enjoyed. Let me tell you how stressful it was to try and make a Jesus perfume. I'm good at what I do, but come on now. So I've been wearing them together all week. I would encourage you to do the same. And I'm just taking just a drop at my third eye for what I know, at my wrist for what I do, and at my ankles, just right at the back of my ankle. You have a scent gland there for where I go. And then I'm going to pass these 2 around so that if you haven't experienced them, you can still share in the energy of those. Okay, and then we'll light our candles a little further into the meditation, but choose your stones for now. And I would say choose 2. Just choose the 2 that really resonate with you. I'm going to choose 1 from each of them so that I can connect, and angelite and bloodstone are the 2 that have been speaking loudest to me, but go with your heart, with your stones. You can also program your quartz to hold the energy of tonight's meditation. So if you have a piece of quartz with you that you'd like to program tonight to hold some of this energy, and it would be nice to come back to for you, because we can be all love and light and compassion in July, and then around the holidays it's like, wait, what? Where did all that sweet kind of compassionate, you're in the mall and you've lost your compassion for people. So sometimes programming a stone to hold that can actually be a little bit of a transmitter for you when you need that energy later down the road. And by the way, if you don't have anything, that's okay. You do have something. You have a lot of things. Your most important magical tools are your hands and your third eye. So if those are your tools for tonight, cheers. And we'll raise my kombucha glass to you. Oh. Okay. So just rolling your shoulders back. I'd like you to hold your stones, whatever the 2 are that you're working with tonight. And for tonight, it's very interesting. The moment that I'm being called to take us back to is actually the manger moment, okay? Which is the moment when Joseph and Mary felt like they had the right place. They had found the place by following the star to allow Jesus to be born. And I think the manger moment is so important for me. The Annunciation moment is also very important for me when Mary said yes. It's It's a very important story, actually. The fine art around the Annunciation is shockingly beautiful. If you've ever been to Italy or to France, to the major museums, you've seen paintings of the Annunciation by the major artists of the world, especially Botticelli. I mean, they're incredible representations of that moment. And part of what's so incredibly important, why the masters, who weren't even Christian, by the way, some of them, the reason they still painted the Annunciation is that moment when the angel came to Mary and said, "Will you bring this child? Will you bear this child?" She did not hesitate. She simply said, "Yes." If I asked you to spontaneously conceive a child that you would carry, and I think she knew some of the details about what might happen, I think you'd take a minute. I think you'd say, you know what, I don't have my phone right now, so let me just check. Would you really just say yes? And I pose the question to you because that is a level of faith and service and commitment that didn't even include her own process, right? To say, should I, could I, let me check with Joseph, he looks a little unsure, kind of thing. That's not the portrait of the Annunciation, right? So whether you see that moment as fact or myth, I encourage you just to think about the example that it sets for you, which is, can you move forward so diligently in your faith that you just say yes? Can you just say yes to whatever is asked of you? And really sit with that question for a moment. So I want you to take yourself back and let yourself be carried to that time outside of time and that place outside of place, where Mary herself brings this child, this being, whose name, the name Jesus itself, is linked to the idea of a Messiah. It is the Anointed One. That is the root of the name. And by the way, Mary's name comes from Mariam. It's an Arabic and an Aramaic name. And that name, the root of it, is love. If you go back all the way to Aramaic, it's love. You'll read other things. You'll see that Mary gets connected to all kinds of different things. It's just love. So the name Mary is so beautiful to me, and Mariam and Maria and all of the iterations of Mary is one of the most beautiful names you'll ever speak. And when it's attached to people, I fall in love with them instantly because I know that they're pure love. They attracted that name. So I want you to imagine returning to that moment where Mary is bringing through this child. And at the time that she's bringing through the Christ child, all he represents is a pure consciousness, a pure spirit, and pure purpose coming here to spread a message of divine compassion, grace, mercy, sacrifice, and forgiveness. Isn't that beautiful? By the way, all of the modern languages have much older roots. So you might find a Hebrew root for the word, but take it back further. You might find a Greek root for the word, but take it back further. You always have to take it back further to really do proper etymological research to understand the meaning of words and how we got where we got today. And that's a fun research that you can do, by the way. And so, Mary, we come to you first. And let's light our Mary candle if you have it. Mary, we come to you first because you came first. She's here. The label is not facing you, but she's here. And Mary, as we encounter you, as we come to you in this moment, you have said yes, and you have selflessly sacrificed for the greater good of our universe. You responded, you heeded the call. You are mother, you are guide, you are teacher, you are an example to us. And Mary, because in the face of danger and fear and challenge and poverty and fear and all the things that many of us face in these moments when we are being tested and being asked to do something that is bigger than us, that is greater than us, and has an outcome that affects more than us. Mary, teach us this evening, and as we come into these moments, we think about where we most need compassion for ourselves. And I want you to focus on that moment right now. Where in your life do you most need love and compassion for yourself? It could be around your health, it could be around your family, it could be around a sense of, I'm sensing even different things for people, like something around depression, needing to be compassionate to yourself around depression and anxiety. There's so many ways in which you need to mother you before you begin to think about how you're going to help other people. And while we're in this place with Mary, I want you to also think about a time when someone did that for you. I want you to think about a time when someone offered you selfless, maternal, loving, nurturing compassion. And who was that, and how did they do it for you? Maybe it was your physical mother in this life. Maybe it was an aunt or a grandmother. Maybe it was a father or a grandfather who gave you that divine, compassionate, unconditional love is what we're talking about here tonight. Unconditional love. You don't have to deserve it. You don't have to earn it. It's just there. Where in your life do you need this right now? And Mary, I ask you to come tonight and be present in the hearts of everyone who's watching, in the room and online. We are open to receiving your energy tonight, Mary, and your example. We give thanks to you for the grace that you represent, for that divine feminine strength and that empowered sense of purpose, that singular connection to your faith and to your trust. No wavering, complete commitment, complete unconditional love. Please open each heart of each person who's watching tonight, online or just listening here in the room in person. And I want you to fill the heart of each person tonight, Mary, please, on our collective behalf. We come to you, we ask for this moment. Let each person's heart be completely full with the deepest, most divine, complete, unconditional love that he or she has ever experienced. Remind them, Mary, through your example, through your love, through your energy tonight, that they are complete, they are whole, they are perfect as they are. There's nothing to judge, there's nothing to change. Everything is as it should be in this moment. And I really want you to stand in this moment and feel those arms around you, completely surrendering to that feeling of compassionate connection. And I want you to think for a moment about the stone that you've chosen to represent Mary. Why did you make that choice? I'm working with Angelite, which calls in those angelic spirits from the higher realms. And in this moment where you're connected to her, make a commitment to Mary. How can you communicate with her? How would you like to communicate with her? How can she be of divine service to you in your life? If you've been challenged in your relationship with your Christian faith over the years, how do you need Mary to work with you now for this relationship to be fruitful? What can she teach you? How can she show you? Knowing that her essence, her spirit is so completely open and available to you in this moment. No judgment. Knowing that in this moment, as you ask for her compassion, she's saying yes to you in the same way that she said yes then. There's no hesitation. That's Julie in the feed is saying that her mother Mary just passed away a few months ago, and how she was the epitome of this name. Amen. May she rest in peace. And so, Mary, from this place, we give thanks to you for the gifts that you're giving us this evening. We are so welcoming of your spirit and your love and your compassion. We are so grateful for your presence. Help us to see how we can be closer to you. Help us to see how we can be more divinely connected to you in our daily lives. Help us to create space for that. And if this is a new tradition for someone who's never worked with Mary before, think about how that relationship might work for you. What her energy of compassionate, divine, maternal love can represent for you and those you love in your life too. That's right, and think about that. Sweet Bella is mentioning, remember, her baby was sacrificed for the forgiveness of all sin in that narrative. I mean, imagine again, if you step outside of a judgment around that, or whether you believe that, can you just allow yourself to be compassionate to her for a moment? Can you imagine? I'm a mother. It's hard to imagine, yeah? Mary, we give thanks. It's a quiet thanks, but it's a deep and profound sense of gratitude tonight for this energy. Wrap your arms around us like a cloak of love. Help us to remember to return to you in moments of need. We thank you for the blessing that you give to each of us tonight and always. And then when you're ready, you can extinguish your candle. Your Mary candle should go at the center of any healing altar that you have. We have Mother Mary on our central healing altar here at Sage Goddess. So if you have this candle, this should go immediately to another place in your home where it can be, or your sacred space where it can represent healing. And that's a place where you can go to pray. After tonight, my Mary candle will be on our prayer altar, and that's a place where you can go to pray for others at any time. So this will be a candle you use all the time, I imagine. How many of you light healing and prayer candles for other people? This is the go-to from now on, I would say. And now we turn our attention to Jesus. So let's light his candle. And you know, the essential oils in your perfumes are historically accurate. So there are no ingredients in your perfumes that would not have been accessible or available at that time. So there's spikenard essential oil in the Mary blend, which is actually not her oil. It's what Mary Magdalene used to anoint the feet of Jesus Christ in the Bible. So spikenard is historically accurate. We were very careful not to put anything in the tins or in the oil blends that would not have been available and connected to them historically at that time, which was really special. Oh yeah, my Jesus candle didn't light. Come on, Jesus. Okay. So take your stone for Jesus, whatever stone you're working with. Like I said, I'm using bloodstone, whatever is connecting for you. And so Jesus, as we approach, we recognize you as teacher. We recognize you as child. We recognize you as keeper of a sacred faith and tradition. We recognize you for the compassion that you represent and the selfless decision to go forward and to create space for all of us to experience divine forgiveness and compassion for the rest of time. And again, even if that's not a narrative that you connect to, Jesus for everyone, no matter how any culture might see him, man or Messiah, represents someone who had the capacity for complete forgiveness, a complete allowing of any act, any sin, anything that came before him, a complete willingness to still love despite, to love in light of, not because of, but to love in light of. So I want you to think, and as always, we want to turn this first on ourselves. Where in your life do you need to love yourself despite? Where in your life do you need to love yourself in spite of, or in addition to? Not because of what you do, but even in spite of what you have done. And if this isn't you, where in your life do you need to love someone else despite what they have done? It's a very important question. People will fail you. And this is personally what I have learned from Jesus, in addition to a lot of other lessons. What I have learned is people will fail you. They are human. It is your job to love them anyway. And you have a teacher in Jesus to show you what that looks like. It makes me want to cry. We know what that looks like, to love anyway. And that's a choice. Have you noticed that? It's a choice at every turn. When someone hurts you, when someone does something wrong by you, it is always your choice. Can you love them anyway? And what does love look like? It doesn't have to look like, forgiving and letting them back into your life to do it all over again, right? But it can look like compassion, to be able to say, I forgive you. You may not forget, but you can forgive. And so tonight, Jesus, we come before you with gratitude for this example that you lived. This example that many of us turn to in our moment of need, when it seems impossible to keep going, to keep loving, to keep forgiving. And this goes far and wide, brothers and sisters. This is you. This is your partner. These are your children. How many times have your children disappointed you? If they haven't yet, wait for it. You're going to have to love them anyway. Your parents. Love them anyway. So many places and pockets in your life, and I can feel it, where you're judging you. Love you anyway. You're beautiful. You deserve it. And if you don't start with you, it almost doesn't matter what the rest of it looks like. Because you loving you shines a light that everybody else can see. What's different about her? What's different about him? They have figured it out. They've learned how to love themselves anyway. And so what does that mean? They can love you anyway, too. If I can do it for me, I can do it for you. If I can't do it for me, it's a lost cause. And so Jesus, as we come before you, we ask that you lift our spirits tonight and remind us that the power of love can heal anything. Love could heal our planet right now, if we believed it could. If we allowed it, love could heal our planet. Love can heal sickness and illness. Love can heal broken relationships. And kindness combined with love makes love virtually unstoppable. So show us the way tonight, Jesus. We ask for your compassion, your kindness, your ability to keep an open heart in the face of challenge and cruelty. And Jesus, you teach us to not look away, to see the best and the worst of humanity, and to be able to still believe, to still have hope, to still push forward, to still trust. I believe in so many ways that Jesus was one of the first to teach us to believe in magic, because there was so much that the eye couldn't see. And I think of him as a figure who reminds me always, I'll say that for me, reminds me to believe in magic, because it's real. The other thing I learned from Jesus, this is a very important lesson, and take it for what you will, love always wins. Kindness always wins. Having seen both sides, if you practice your spirituality for long enough, you're going to see some things that are pretty terrifying. I don't want to scare you, but if you practice for long enough, you'll see some things. I've seen those things. And what those things taught me is love and light always prevail. They have to. It's just always what happens. And so that's why I always tell people, align yourself with love and light, because if you go the other direction, and if you're a powerful person energetically, you can always go the other direction. All energy is light and dark. So it's always possible to take your energy and take it to a dark place. And you see examples of it all the time. Choose light. I promise you, it always wins. It may look like a struggle and a fight sometimes, but it's not. That's just a chance for you to have deeper faith. When you see the struggle and you don't know who's going to win, that's just the universe asking you, do you believe? And waiting for you to say you do, so it can show you that love always wins. I believe that with all my heart. I really do. So thank you, Jesus, for the gift of your compassion, your example, your teachings, the light that you represent for all of us, regardless of our faith tradition, regardless of what role you see Jesus in. Come to us tonight as a teacher. Show us the way to compassion and mercy and grace, even for those we think don't deserve it, because they're the ones who need it the most. Angry people are hurting people. Angry people are not bad people. Angry people are just in more pain than we are. So love them back. And Jesus, just as we asked with Mary, just to fill our hearts tonight, fill us up with hope and optimism. Fill us up with the belief that we know anchors your energy in every moment. Inspire us. Teach us how to push that light out far and wide, to let it shine, so that we can be an example of that grace and that compassion in every moment. Help us to learn our lessons gently, because we also ask for that mercy and compassion upon ourselves and for us as well. And so it is. And I'm going to blow out my candle. If you are doing the healing altar, put them together is my recommendation. And so if you'd like to program a piece of quartz, what I'd like to suggest is take your quartz. I always do mine in my left hand and put my right hand over it. Whatever feels better to you. If you're left-handed, it might feel better to put it in your right hand with your left hand over. And so I want you to imagine all of the energies we work with tonight. Compassion, mercy, forgiveness. What else do we work with tonight? Love. What was that? Healing? Yes. Anything else? Peace. Kindness. What was that? Wisdom, for sure. Hope. Conscious wisdom. That's the best kind of wisdom. trust. Yes, light, submission, surrender, mercy. That feels like a good list to me. Yep, belief for sure, magic, miracles, sacrifice. They're in the feed, they're filling in your blanks, which I kind of love. So let's pull all of that energy up from the center of the earth. Guides, guardian spirits who are here with us in our ritual circle. We ask that you bring in all of these energy streams. And I always imagine energy streams like curtains. They're just there. You can reach out and touch them and pull them towards you. You're already pulling things towards you all the time anyway. You just don't realize it. A lot of times you're pulling stress towards you and you're pulling anger towards you. Send those back. Those are the energy streams we don't need right now. I literally imagine myself at night calling in. I want a little bit of love. I'm calling in some healing. I'm pulling down some compassion. I'm also pulling in mercy and forgiveness. And imagine doing that before you fall asleep. It's almost like putting these beautiful curtains around your bed. And then in the morning, it's like sending those back. And what are you calling in for today? You know, optimism, a little more energy. I'm tired. Clarity. You know what I mean? Being of service. So decide what streams you're working with. Be very conscious about them. So let's call in all of the energy streams from tonight. And I want you to imagine sending them. Use your right hand. Imagine pulling them all in and sending them down into I'm using a generator, but any stone that you have. Send those energy streams into this quartz. I always imagine like a little CNN ticker, you know, like with the little words go by, just like, those little words going right into that quartz. And when both of your hands are warm, that's usually a sign that the energy is there. You can hardly do it without shaking. Got it? Your hands warm, tingling a little bit maybe if you're doing it? Yeah? Okay. So then once that's there, that quartz is now programmed for that purpose. Don't use that quartz for anything else until you deprogram it. Okay? So that is now a tool for you. So that should be something you carry with you, or again, keep it on your healing and compassion altar. And the beautiful thing is, that actually probably should be gifted by you at some point to somebody who could use it. You know what I mean? If you're a healer, and you all are, you wouldn't be here if you weren't, you'll invariably have somebody come to you and say, I know if I could forgive myself, I could finally, blah, whatever that is. And you say, I have something I think could help you. Just hold on to that. You know? And let that be a gift that you give. When I charge things for purposes, I almost never keep them. I always know I'm doing that for somebody else. Okay. So I want you to imagine we're going to be preparing now to leave this space. We're so grateful for the presence of these two teachers tonight who have so much wisdom to share with us, so much to show us, so much to teach us. And I'm almost sensing a sense of gratitude too, like, let's return to this conversation now. You know what I mean? Religion has gotten very divided. And where has that gotten us? And I know it's tough for a lot of people. When they see me, sometimes they'll say, how can it all make sense to you? How can you really live and walk all these paths? But it feels very natural to me, and I'll tell you, it's feeling more and more natural for a lot of people. Because we've started to see things and experience things that teach us that it's not as cut and dry divided as you might think. That might make you feel better than somebody else, but that's not true. They have just as much wisdom and truth as you do. And so we release you from the circle tonight, Jesus and Mary, taking with you all of those beautiful energy streams. Grateful for the example, the wisdom, the blessing of the connection with you this evening. I'm so grateful for a lifetime of support. And so when you're ready, that energy beam that connects us all came to you in your right hand. You're going to release it from your right hand, and it's going to go counterclockwise around the circle. And the energy will end up in your left hand, and then you turn your hand upside down, and we're going to send all of that beautiful energy that we raised tonight down into the center of the earth, Mother Gaia. We send this love to you tonight. We send it to heal this planet. We send it to heal each other. Please, Mother Gaia, take the peace and the love and the unity energies that we have raised and send them to the corners, to the countries, to the places, to the people who are most divided, most hurting, least able to see the blessing of life and the hope. And please send it where it needs to go. Allow it to fill the hearts and minds of spirits of those who need it most tonight. And we thank you. And so it is. And so our circle, our beautiful circle, That's right. Julie made a comment in the feed that I think is beautiful. She said, Jesus and God are not religion. Humans created religion. And if you think about it, I mean, the Bible was written, these are narratives, these are a categorizing of what happened after the fact. But like I said, the biggest medicine I can give you without going into detail about all the things that I've seen is just trust me, some part of this narrative is real. How it's real and what it will mean to you is your journey to find out. So if you want to get to know these energies, these figures, these teachers better, ask them to come and reveal themselves to you. That's been my experience. If you ask Mary to show herself to you, I actually have something in my car for Elizabeth. I found a Mary pendant. I know. Isn't that crazy? Today. Yeah, today. It's been on my mind, but it wasn't happening until today. Isn't that crazy? It's like, oh, hi, Elizabeth. Yeah. When you guys tell me things, it plants a little seed back here in the back of my mind. And my time is never spirit time, so I'm always like, you know what? When the time is right, it'll reveal itself, and then there it was for her today. Guardians of the North, we release you from your service to the circle. Thank you for the strength, the grounding, the protection, the wisdom of the North, where our teachers live. We release you from your service to the circle. Guardians of the West, thank you for the connection to our deepest emotions tonight, to heal, to connect with the waters of forgiveness and compassion and peace. We release you from service to the circle. Guardians of the South, it takes courage for us to stand up and have these conversations. Let me tell you something right now. I'm sure there'll be, judgy judgments about me doing a ritual with Jesus and Mary. Let's go ahead. We need to speak our truth. And so, standing in the South, we receive courage to step boldly onto our path, to live our whole and authentic truth, and to know exactly what energy streams we are calling upon and working with at any particular time. We thank you and release you from your service to the circle. Guardians of the East, today's a new day. Can we live with compassion? Can you live with compassion? It heals everything. And so thank you for your service to the circle. We release you. I will tell you, we do a lot of rituals here at Sage Goddess. We've been doing full moon rituals for 5.5 years. I think tonight has the biggest capacity to heal you of almost all the rituals. Because if you look at people who have severe disease in their life, aren't they most often the people who still are holding? You know what I mean? They have not forgiven their husband. They have not forgiven their mother. They have not forgiven their children. And where does that go? I imagine it like a little tiny dark speck that grows and grows and grows and connects and grows. And that's what I think all illness is. So please tonight, really take this to heart. Not just as a spiritual exercise, because I think it's going to change your health. If you can really finally let go and forgive yourself and have compassion for others, I think this is the path to wellness and peace. Okay, next month, major manifestation. Breakthroughs is what I'm calling next month. And we're calling in energies of Maui, who pulled the Hawaiian island chain up from the bottom of the ocean. It's actually Lemuria he pulled up. With his mother's help, Hina, who is the moon goddess, and with Pele, who is the fire goddess of releasing transformation and creation across the Hawaiian island chain, which obviously was born of fire. The Hawaiian island chain is one of the only places you'll go where you actually are living the 4 elements with every step. The islands were created from fire, they are surrounded by water, they are covered with earth, and there's a constant air current. So literally by stepping foot on the islands, that's why you feel that sense of connection. It's because immediately the 4 elements come and surround you. And you feel it in your bones. And so that magic is coming to you next month. Everything in the shop's 15% off with code DIVINE. I'm sure you saw that. I have fun little moon stickers I'm giving away. If you say anchor in your notes, you get a little perfume sample and it's just a phase moon sticker, which I think is pretty cute. It was cute. So the sets are in the shop free now, so make sure you know that they're here downstairs and they're also online. Do you have any questions before we sign off for the night? We went a couple minutes over, but felt sweet. Thank you for your patience and for all the time that you gave us this evening. Yes. Wouldn't that be cute? Mandy's asking if we should open next month's ritual with the Maui song from Moana. It's really cute. I think in terms of copyright and stuff, we wouldn't be able to do that, but it's a wonderful thought. Maybe we have to figure some other way to open it, this little tribal. The wheels are turning in my mind. Who can I bring to open that for you? Oh gosh, Salsa 16 says, what are your thoughts on Mormonism? That's for a glass of wine and another evening. All right, cheers, everybody. Go enjoy this beautiful full moon and this beautiful weather if you're here in LA. It was 3,000 degrees today. It might just be 1,500 degrees tonight. So maybe very, very enjoyable for you. Happy summer, everybody. Thank you for being here. May your heart be filled with compassion and love tonight. It's my wish for you. I'll see you soon. Thanks, you guys.